Alright, I want to make a little video about pigeons today. I've got two lofts. First one is, I don't know, 4x4. Second one about the same. Where to start? Been doing this for about a year and a half, and I've primarily focused on homers. Right now I've got two homers in this loft of 3 birds. That is a king pigeon. That is a homer. And that is a archangel homer. Those two male birds fly great together until I introduced a female to try to get him to breed. Yes, it's a different type of pigeon, but he is a large homer. I figured, what the heck? He's taking to her and he's trying to reproduce, but nothing's happening. Don't know the age of either bird. And what that's done by introducing a female bird into this otherwise peaceful loft where these birds flew almost daily and had a blast flying, it's created stress and strife. Now, this normally friendly archangel is a battle machine, and so is he. And they constantly battle because he's a third wheel. He lost the mating game, so he's a third wheel. He doesn't like it. These two aren't really, she's kind of losing his affection for him, and now they no longer fly together. They just hate each other, and that's kind of ruined that setup. So by getting a deal on 10 king pigeons, I've in essence ruined what I was trying to achieve by creating a flying flock. I thought kings would fly. Kings don't like to fly. They're very large and they're like chickens. If you let them out, they'll go around the ground and pick and peck, and then they'll go back in. I've got one sitting on eggs right now. There's a mated couple in here, which also makes everything with this many birds very dramatic. A lot of fighting, a lot of territory problems, and none of these birds fly. The other king in the other loft could barely make it to the roof. It was her first time flying, but she barely made it. And coming back down, she kind of crashed because she couldn't support her weight. So if you're looking at king pigeons and you're looking to fly them, don't. If you're looking to have a flying, create a pack of birds or a flock, don't introduce females. You'll ruin everything. If you do have females or breeding pairs, have a separate place for them to go for them alone. I do not have that. So that has pretty much ruined what I do have. Now, my question is what to do with all these king birds who I got from a person who sold them for meat. He said he would take them back and swap me for gray homing pigeons, which he then told me he got in after I bought these. But I'm not just gonna give away birds, or like, you can't release these birds. They'll just die. That's just hawk bait or cat bait. They can't fend for themselves. They're gorgeous birds. They're very friendly, but they don't do a lot, and they sure don't fly. So that's my predicament now. But introducing females has definitely ruined the dynamic of what I was trying to achieve. And introducing kings, bringing kings into the mix was a wrong move. So if all of you see kings for sale on Craigslist or whatever for cheap, you're not getting flying birds. You're essentially getting ground birds, or birds that are just comfortable in their loft all the time, 24/7. So if you're happy with that, then they're great birds. And I mean, they're nice. They're nice birds, and I'll probably end up keeping them for quite a while. I'm not sure yet. I've had them for about a month. But it did kind of, it's not what I planned. I didn't know enough about king pigeons before I got these guys. So also, you got to be on the water, and there's a decent food requirement. I mean, you got to give them, I don't know, I give them about a cup and a half a day for 6 birds now, and they seem to like that. If they don't eat it all, then I don't feed them as much next time, and I'm adjusting. But you got to clean their water at least daily, preferably twice a day. Try to give them space. The one down there sitting on eggs, she's in a ceramic dish, one of my wife's dishes, and she loves it. And she's sitting on pine needles, and I got paper shavings from the paper shredder, and that was an emergency situation because I saw her picking up and carrying her paper around and feathers. So that's all I had when I gave her some paper shredder from the paper shredder, the paper shreddings, and she liked that. And then I ran out and got some pine needles from a pine tree, and that's what they really love. And both birds sit on the nest. They take turns. Once about every half a day they switch, the male, female. And when they sit on the nest all day, they don't poop. And when they get off of the nest, they have a large poop, shall we say, egg poop. So if you find things that look like dog crap in your cage, it's egg poops. But these birds are very good with their eggs, and they're very good at sitting. And there's 2 eggs there, probably have 2 youngins here pretty quick. And there'll be 2 more king pigeons. And there's also another courting pair in here as well, so get spots for them to sit, and we'll see. I'll do the best I can, but I'm gonna start having these things coming out left and right here about every couple months. Every 2 months, I think, is a turnaround on, and then the next set of eggs. So yeah, these are my simple lofts. These are easy to construct. You go to Home Depot, you get a 4x8 sheet, and you have them cut it into 2-foot sections. And that's a 2-foot section, that's a 2-foot section, that's a 2-foot section, that's a 2-foot section. And then you get one 8-foot 2x4 and cut it into 4 equal parts. And that's the feet. And you get a couple more 2x4 sections for the floor and 2 more for the top. And I just used 1/2-inch hardware cloth with staples, and I just screw the whole thing together. Get some 2x4s, and it's not perfect by any means. It's not meant to be. It doesn't need to be. They don't care. It's not that type of thing. I'm not a perfectionist, especially not for this. But and these guys, this is the loft I built last year. It's got a trap here. I haven't had a bird yet who can use the trap. They've all tried, come close. None of them have trapped in. None of them. So I have a separate hinge door where if they want to fly, I open that. And normally they would go right now, but they're all emotional right now and fighting, so not happening. No, you guys aren't going. No. Especially you. You can't even make it to the roof. You guys quit. So, I've had this loft for a couple of years. Well, almost 2 years. And I had this dog cage. It's a small dog cage. I screwed it onto the side, cut a hole in, and put some screws. Got some cobwebs and stuff now. A little plastic tray, slide out. To give them a 360 degree, a good view of the sky and their surroundings, so they get used to where they are and they come back more. Because I've had probably 25 birds total, and I've lost probably 22 over a year and a half. They just don't come back due to whatever. They weren't home trained good enough. I didn't wait long enough. Predators. But I have never seen a hawk attack on any of my birds. I've witnessed some close calls, but these birds will evade hawks. The homers will. if a king gets up on the roof or something, it's a sitting duck for a cat or a hawk. They're not quick movers, but the homers can go and they'll get away from a hawk. So if you like birds that fly and watching birds fly, and it's great to watch them fly, they circle the house. Sometimes one will go away overnight and be missing. You come back in the morning, they'll be sitting on top of the loft. But these two guys, he's my only original bird, and I've had him for a year and a half. And this house we're living in now, I relocated from. Our last house was 8 miles away, and I brought him here and I let him acclimate for about a month and a half. The first thing he did was fly to our old house, which thankfully I still had the keys for and we still had possession of. So I had to go over there after work and try to wrangle him off the roof. And he was still waiting to get into his old loft, which was not even there. So he was confused, but I stuck with it. I trapped him essentially with a Home Depot plastic box. I got him, brought him here, left him in there for a while, and he knows where he's at now. And he taught this little guy, they're buddies. Well, they used to be buddies. They're great flyers. They love to fly together. They stick close together. They just do big circles, and they're the best flyers. It's the best fun to watch. They just hard to explain. Pigeon, to me, flying the birds is what you want to get them for. I'm not into breeding. I'm not into it's fun to let them out on the ground and they all graze and forage and stuff like that. That's neat to watch, but at the same time you got to keep your head up to the sky looking for hawks and looking for cats at the same time. But I don't know. So that's my pigeon lesson for dummies. Another handy tip that I think is 100% on. If a bird puts its head down and coos and turns in circles, that's a male. If the bird doesn't do that, it's a female. And I found that to be 100% on. See, that's male behavior. Only males do that. The female has never ever done that, and that's why she's a female. And so that's how I tell them apart. Handy tip. Save you a lot of frustration. Anyways, work for me. But so yeah, that's my pigeon predicament. So I'll see what I'm gonna do with these kings. Great birds, pretty birds. These are not homing pigeons. These pigeons probably wouldn't leave the yard. They can fly, but not very far. 10 feet. They're kind of like chickens. They're almost the size of a chicken. They're like the size of a small duck, or a small bantam. But yeah, king pigeons are not the same as homing pigeons. Don't get them confused. They look similar, but not the same. Anyways, that's it.